Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Getting the Win show. I am your host, Melissa T, the procrastination bully. If you're able to see me, just type something in the comments real quick so I can know for a fact that you guys can see me. I am starting with a brand new platform over here. I am using something with a lot of bells and whistles. So we polishing things up for y'all. We want to make sure you guys have an awesome experience. All right. So if you guys are out there, if you can see me, if you can hear me, let me know. Let me know. Put that in the chat. In the meantime, though, I am gonna get started. Wanted to come on and give an update as it relates to the Spring Forward Writers Retreat. It was an absolute blast, and holy cow. Holy cow. There we go. I'm starting to see some views. So good. I'm glad you guys can see me. I'm glad you guys are able to catch this live. Welcome. Welcome again to the Getting the Win show. I'm your host, Melissa T, the procrastination bully. Not only am I going to go over the retreat, the Spring Forward Writers Retreat, and do a quick recap of what's going on there, I'm also going to provide an update regarding the show. All right. So stay tuned for that. But for now, let's talk about this retreat. As you can see there, it's a little bushy and frilly behind the screen there. That's the overlay for the retreat itself. That was the graphic that was on the flyer. We wanted to give our attendees this year, the theme of it was Jamaica, a taste of Jamaica. So we brought it to them. Can I just say that? Like we brought Jamaica to our attendees in the most authentic way possible, in the most immersive way possible. Everything from the decor of the rooms, of the space, to the homemade cuisine, to the music that was playing in the background. Like, shout out to Bob Marley, dude is a legend. um, we wanted to kind of wrap everyone around in that sort of background, that sort of experience, so that they can enjoy that ambiance. And they did. We were absolutely fruitful this weekend. I am blown away by the conversations we were able to have, the way that we were all able to sharpen each other. And I love that some of the speakers had met each other for the very first time. So we got to network. Like folks were making some very crucial connections. So that was a beautiful thing about that. So let me check the chat real quick. Shout out to Rosalie Thomas. She's saying, yes, she is here. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate you. So yeah, we like these guys got to network. They got to sharpen each other. They got to connect in ways that were meaningful. So real quick, I'm going to share my screen because I want you guys to have a look at some of these images from the retreat so you guys can have an idea. I already put out a reel on Instagram if you follow me there at Getting the Win Show. So by all means, please do that, okay? If you haven't subscribed here, remember to do so. Subscribe at Getting the Win if you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe at Getting the Win on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, and Pinterest at Getting the Win Show. So I've been, sharing the reel that had these little recap photos on them just to show folks the end result. Because I realized I did a reel when I arrived there Wednesday announcing that we were finally in the building. We were finally on the property and setting up in preparation for the retreat. So I wanted to close that loop and show everyone what the end result was. So I'm going to share my screen right here so you can see some of these images. All right. So what you're seeing on your screen right now are images from Thursday night alone. This was the relationships roundtable that we did. The young lady that is in the gorgeous yellow dress is the one and only Aaaaaannnd Matthews. She is a global business development consultant and project manager. She is someone that gets you your needs and results in record time at a global scale. That is her in a nutshell. If you have a need, if you have a problem, She will resolve it and get you the results you need in record time at a global scale. Aaaaaannnd Matthews is someone you want to know. So connect with her on LinkedIn, follow her on Instagram at Gardner Matthews Global Management, or I think it's at Gardner Matthews over there. But she is somebody you want to know. I'll just let you know that. She gave us such amazing gems in how to forge more meaningful relationships, how to overcome, our self-doubt or kind of second guessing in terms of knowing our value and what we bring to the table and why it's so important for us to get to the table, you know what I mean, to make sure we're there. She said, don't be so humble that you make yourself mute. She talked for an hour, but that was the heaviest bar of the night. That resonated with everybody at the table. It was incredible. Don't be so humble that you make yourself mute. And you guys hear me say all the time, closed mouths don't get fed, right? She added to that. Like that was an incredible bar that she shared there. I was like, wow. So you're seeing myself on the left on your screen, Aaaaaannnd, the one and only Jessica Holly. Shout out to Everybody Can't Go. She was my co-host for the weekend, Jessica Holly, and she brought the laughs all weekend, brought the energy, brought the laughs all weekend. And the beautiful woman on the far right is another Jessica, Jessica Ewing, who is the founder of High Vibe Herbals. That name may sound familiar to you if you follow that particular account, or if you follow her. She basically helps people heal their mood through teas, through the use of teas, tinctures, and creams. She's an herbalist. So High Vibe Herbals is her company. She was generous enough to sponsor the Spring Forward Writers Retreat. So we had 2 sip and share feedback sessions on Friday evening and Saturday evening. High Vibe Herbals was the sponsor for both of those sessions. And man, Jessica made a mean hibiscus jasmine lemonade. Like everybody was drinking that. It tasted so refreshing and it was light on the sweetness. Most lemonades are kind of sharp and kind of jarring. Hers was light and refreshing. And we did feel better like drinking it. So if you're somebody who is not familiar with High Vibe Herbals, by all means, check them out, highvibeherbals.com. No, she is not paying for this little blurb, but I know from experience and my use of the teas, they're delicious. Okay. So if you're somebody who's into teas, or even if you're brand new to and you want to experiment, High Vibe Herbals is a great place to start. Okay. So highvibeherbals.com if you want to learn more about that. So shout out to Jessica Ewing, and I'll get into her accomplishments here shortly because man, she progressed by leaps and bounds over the weekend. Okay. I'm gonna go through a couple more of these images so you guys can take a look at it. This was the round table, and shout out to the one and only L. David Harris. That's the gentleman in the ball cap. He was our speaker on Sunday because he's a publisher. So he broke down the publishing process and the different ways that you can generate revenue from your book. He broke down about 11 or 12 of those things just off the top. It was so amazing. But what I loved about his presentation was that the first half of it was coaching. Like, David cannot help that. I don't know if you've watched any of the last 3 episodes that I've had David on the show. David is an executive coach. He cannot help but to be a coach. He can't help it. So the first half of his presentation impressed upon all of the writers in the room to finish the process and get published. It wasn't enough just to finish the manuscript. He was encouraging us, like, don't let the weekend, the progression of the weekend, the completion of the manuscript be your endpoint. Get the book all the way to the finish line and published and out in the world to be seen by the world and to impact the world. And I love that he impressed upon us in such eloquent ways. Like, we all got it. And he dropped 3 words that resonated with everybody. When you're publishing your book, you're doing intentional transformation movements, transformational movements, intentional transformational movements. That is what you're producing when you publish your book. And it's important to have that purpose in mind when you start your book, because it has that potential for impact when you publish it. It was beautiful. Like, obviously, I'm paraphrasing like crazy. I'm not doing his talk much justice. And we will have an offer here soon for anyone who wasn't in the room and you're interested in purchasing the replay to be able to get that same value. Despite not being in the atmosphere, the value is the value, and it is off the charts. From everyone who spoke, it is invaluable, off the charts. This was us, like you can see the spread. Shout out to Elmar Services Inc., who was essentially the title sponsor of our event. Like, they underwrote it, but they also came through with the chefery. Two of the amazing folks from Elmar Services Inc. came through, and I'm proud to say that they are family to me, like exact family to me. But they came through and they chefed out. Everyone loved the food. I mean, everybody, everyone loved the food. Now, L. David Harris is someone who lives in Jamaica and has lived there for over 12 years. He can vouch. Like, he came and enjoyed it. He flew up from Jamaica and was enjoying the grub. He felt like he was at home. It was great. So just going through these images very quickly with you guys, just so you can have an idea of what Thursday night was like. We had the privilege of taking the group shot. We even got a little bit silly. Shout out to Ted Hollins. He was the on-site photographer, and he encouraged us to be a little bit more playful with some of these pictures. So yeah, Thursday night was a wonderful night. Like, we got the sharpening we needed. We got the reminder from Ayana that we needed to not procrastinate, not hesitate, not be mute, stop being humble to that point. Okay. Like, it's important to stand 10 toes down in what you know. And that was the reminder that I got. So I was like, okay, I appreciate that. Like, I know what I know, but I love getting those reminders from people who are doing what I want to be doing or are in the position that I want to be in. And they're comfortably reaching back and saying, hey, come on, catch up to me. No problem. It's no competition. I want to see you win. Ayana's that kind of person. She just wants everybody to win. So that was Thursday night. That was an absolute blast. So shout out to Ayana Matthews. Thank you, Lamazi Thomas. Shout out to my dad. I love you. He's saying love it. Absolutely. Like, it was a great event. It was a great event. Comfortable space, roomy house, 2 stories. Everyone had their own room. Like, nobody had to share rooms with anybody per se, at least not in terms of the attendees. Like, everyone had their breathing room. It was great. And we had one virtual attendee. Shout out to Courtney Holly. She said that she felt the comfort and the safety and the relaxation and the luxuriation of the retreat. She said it felt very homey. So even though she was watching on screen, she still felt the vibe. She still felt the comfort and the luxury and the hominess and the chill. You know what I mean? Just that comfort. She felt it through the screen. And she was such a trooper. She tuned in every single day, despite being a stay-at-home mom of 4 young kids, like littles, as I call them. And shout out to her husband, Guy, who you guys have seen on the show. I recently interviewed him, Guy Holly. He is the grant writing coach and grant writer. So if you ever need someone as a grant guy, he's the last guy you'll ever need for that. Pun very much intended. But yeah, shout out to Guy and Courtney. Guy came in with the support so Courtney could learn the information she needed to learn to finally stop procrastinating on her book. Because she's had the book in her for quite a while, but she needed that extra little push. And so I gave them, my writing system, which I have dubbed the F5 framework. And so they used it, all of them. And what was wonderful, Courtney pointed this out to me. She assumed I already knew it, but I did not. So I appreciate that she pointed it out to me. But she said it was interesting that all of the writers came in at different points of the pre-work. Because remember, in previous episodes, and if you've been following a few other podcasts that I've spoken on about this, I sent everyone the pre-work prior to coming to the retreat. So I gave everyone homework before they got there. There were people in different stages of that pre-work. Some had done all of the pre-work, including Jessica Holly. Some had done part of the pre-work, like Courtney. And there were some like Jessica Ewing who had done none of it. And she came in with a fully blank slate. But because everyone followed my system, by the end of the weekend, they were already writers. They were already authors by the end of the weekend. And shout out to them. You know what I mean? Shout out to them for following the system. In our conversations, they were all grateful for having it because it's something that's repeatable. And the beauty of the system is that it's principle driven. You guys have heard me quote Dr. Myron Golden often when he says principles are God's automation. The F5 framework is a foundation and 5 pillars. Like, it is repeatable and it is principle driven. So not only does it apply to your book, any kind of book, any genre, doesn't matter. It applies to all of them, and it also applies to building out a business. That's the beauty of that. So these ladies were able to come, they got the pre-work, they were able to apply their content to that system. I gave them the cheat code to get their content out as quickly as possible in record time, and they certainly did. Courtney on Saturday had texted me while we were in our writing blocks, because Saturday was mostly writing. There were 2 big 3 to 4 hour chunks throughout the day, one in the morning, one in the evening, in just writing. And in the middle of Saturday, she texted me saying she had knocked out 6 chapters. When you have a system that works, you get results. Okay. So we were super excited to talk that over during the sip and share session on Saturday night. And she shared her feedback about how helpful that was. Because also the beauty of having those sessions is that during the sip and share session Friday night, she still had one little roadblock, one little bit of a decision or a bit of confusion, and we were able to clear it up right there on the spot, which is what got her to knocking out 6 chapters on Saturday. Like, phenomenal results. I remember at the end of Sunday night, when everything was all wrapped up, Jessica Ewing was generous enough to let us in on a family call. And her family was asking her how she's doing, how was the weekend going, because they knew she was there at the retreat with us. First words out of her mouth in answer to that question, y'all, and she said it with her chest. She said, "I'm an author." That was her answer to her family. How are you doing? How was your weekend? I'm an author. That was one of the most gratifying moments of the whole weekend to me. It was so beautiful to be able to see someone who was starting from absolute scratch, hadn't done the pre-work before the retreat started, could confidently say, "I'm an author," in a matter of 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's incredible. So when you have a system that works and is repeatable, you're unstoppable and your confidence skyrockets. When you have a system that works, you don't procrastinate anymore because you have something you can rely on, something that's repeatable. So this was the perfect combination of both skill sets for me, both assignments. So yeah, that is how the Spring Forward Writers Retreat went. L. David Harris and I, we put our heads together and we applied the now what concept on Sunday. He talked about the different things that are necessary for consideration when you're getting published, like what those steps are and the different revenue streams that are available from one book. And then I came in afterwards and talked about what the marketing strategy would need to look like for an author. So again, watch this space, stay subscribed. If you haven't subscribed here, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube at Getting the Win, and follow me on Instagram, Threads, and Pinterest at Getting the Win Show. But watch this space and stay tuned, because I will have an offer to catch the replays. Even if you weren't in the room and you want to get that information, we will make it available to you. That offer is coming, so stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Okay. But I mentioned the combination of those two assignments to lead you into the announcement concerning the show. So first, let me just shout out Miss Dolores Coombs for dropping a comment there. Appreciate you. Shout out to you and all of the team at Elmar Services Inc. for all of you guys' help. You guys are amazing. Love you. And thank you so much, Miss Sonia Segri, for your comment. Congrats on your retreat. Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You got the lowdown already from Miss Rosalie. Like, she gave you the full beat by beat with that. But yeah, let me just say that Miss Rosalie flexed. Okay. Like, she got a whole new son out of the deal. It was great. She was wonderful all weekend. Like, everyone loves her. To know Miss Rosalie is to love her, y'all. Okay. If you haven't met her yet, this is my mom. I love her. She is awesome. I give her flowers as much as possible. Everyone gives her flowers. Okay. They love her. But yeah, just wanted to acknowledge our folks there. And now to this announcement. One of the things that the Lord made clear to me between 2017 and 2019 was, one, in 2017, my calling is to glorify him with words. In 2019, he made clear to me that my target audience is procrastinators. And I think I mentioned this story to you in a previous episode, that 7 years later, it took me 7 more years after he made that clear to me to finally launch the Getting the Win show and start talking to my fellow recovering procrastinators. However, I've been approaching the show thus far focusing solely on productivity and beating procrastination. What God ultimately wanted me to do was combine both of those. So while I will still be talking about beating procrastination, the show is going to pivot, y'all. So I'll be speaking now from the perspective, or for those who are authors or aspiring authors that have been procrastinating on their books. Okay. So I understand if that's not a fit for you, no problem. If you feel the need to unsubscribe because that pivot will no longer serve your needs, no problem. I feel you. Which is why I wanted to come on live and make the announcement so you can hear it, see me in real time, and be able to comment as well, leave your feedback, ask any questions, so that you're aware, so that going forward, in terms of guests that I bring on, one-on-one episodes that I do, and live streams that I do that are aimed towards authors and writers, you're not suddenly caught off guard, like, wait, what just happened? Why was there, like, this was a hard left, like, what just happened? I wanted to come on and tell you about it before the pivot actually happens, so you're not caught off guard and alienated, because I promise you, I value every single one of you. Thank you so much. All of you who have subscribed thus far, all of you who have been regularly watching and regularly commenting. I appreciate all of your feedback. And I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart and make sure that you were clear on the direction that the show is going now. And the timing is kind of apropos. Wasn't planned at all, but the timing is apropos because this show is broken up into seasons of 20 episodes, and we're about to head into season 4. So it's actually apropos that it's happening right around now. This is episode 76. So episode 81 will mark the beginning of season 4. So, you know what I mean? Again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Drop them in any comments you have. Drop them as well. Ms. Rosalie said that will work well for everyone too for the price of one. That's, I mean, true. That's true. If anything, the folks that are tuning in for the productivity stuff specifically, you might get some extra value with the authorship stuff. You never know. You never know, because the truth of the matter is, writing a book, being an author is also a business. So if you're an entrepreneur, technically the principles still apply. It's just I'll be using language that is germane to authors, that are relevant to the writing industry, the book and publishing industry, that sort of thing. You'll start to see me going into the weeds with the publishing stuff, because that ecosystem is changing even as I'm talking to you. Like, things are changing with Amazon and Kindle Direct Publishing, which is the main self-publishing arm of the world. There are other ways to do it, but that's the main one. That's the most easily searchable one, the most visible one. And things are changing over there. As we all know, AI is now officially a part of our lives. Like, there's no going back from that, much in the same way that the internet became a part of our lives, and there was never any going back from that, as we can see, right? So AI is affecting the book and publishing industry. So that's going to be a thing that I go into the weeds with in future episodes. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm still going to be talking about the personal development stuff, all the stuff that I've been discussing on the show. So in terms of burnout, talking about being clear on your purpose, talking about clearing roadblocks, different ways to schedule yourself, because being an author, that's a discipline. Like, writing a book is a discipline. You got to block out the time. So you'll still get those elements that you've been hearing from me for the last year plus, almost year and a half. Well, actually, we're past a year and a half, I think, or close to it. We launched in October of 2023. So we're in mid-March of 2025. But you'll still get a lot of the same principles in productivity. You'll just hear more of the authorship stuff, the publishing stuff, the writing stuff. Okay. So just be aware of that. If that is not quite your cup of tea, I will totally understand. I love you so much for choosing to stay with me for as long as you've chosen to. If you feel the need to pivot and pick a different podcast to follow, if you're choosing to stay with me, now you have a clear idea of where I'll be going. And, I look forward to taking this even further into the future with you. So I just wanted to give you that. And if you've loved L. David Harris being on here, we can make him a regular if you want him to be a regular. You know what I mean? So we can talk that publishing talk for real and really get into the weeds of that stuff. He offers publishing services. So if you want someone that is a one-stop shop for publishing, maybe you have your manuscript done already, like L. David Harris and Associates, look him up. Like, that is someone you want to rock with. Okay. So, and with the offer for the replay that will be coming in the short term, there is an offer in which I combine L. David Harris's services with my editing services. That way you pay one flat fee and get all of that stuff done. Like, your work is to get your rough draft done. From there, you would buy the package. You would get myself as 3 editors in one, and L. David Harris as a full publishing machine in one. Full partnership. So that offer is coming. And again, watch this space. Subscribe here at Getting the Win. If you're watching this on YouTube, follow me at Getting the Win Show on Instagram, Threads, and Pinterest. Okay, that offer is coming. And let me tell you something, it's fire. It's absolute fire. Because if you try to go this alone and try to bootstrap it, you're talking about the work of at least 5 people. at least five people, which you would have to pay separately. With this offer, you're paying one fee one time and getting all of that stuff. You're being walked through that whole process for a successful book launch. So that is what it is. That is what it shall be. I wanted to come on live and give you guys that update. You know, I appreciate everyone who texted me, DM'd me, messaged me in different ways, sending your encouragement, your, for the retreat. Like, I know you're going to do well. It's going to be awesome. All the things like, y'all, you guys were, there was so much love and encouragement. I love y'all. I appreciate every single one of you. It was amazing to get that encouragement. So if you see my eyes wandering, it is because I want to show you some pictures from Saturday night, which was the sip and share session on Saturday night, which was phenomenal. And by the way, the reason why I'm asking you to follow me on social media is because all of that stuff is coming too, like the video content, that's coming too. So be sure to watch this space for the video content as well. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see these photos and just kind of run through them real quickly with you. So yeah, this was Miss Jessica Ewing. She was sharing her feedback. But yeah, all of us, we gathered around the pool. Her teas are in the background. And we were just sharing our experience. After having written in large blocks, first on Friday evening and then Saturday morning and Saturday evening, like just sharing our experience in terms of what we were able to produce while we were writing, our word count, any questions we had, the kind of research we did, the tools that we used to do our research. We shared all of the feedback and sharpened each other during that session. And as you see, it's nice and quaint. It's quiet. We by the pool. It's at night. It was a great session. Pardon the blinks. Sometimes we tend to do that before like when the camera's catching us, sometimes we blink. But yeah, it was a great conversation. And you're seeing the three of us here all the while. You cannot see on screen because it's directly opposite. But Courtney was also tuning in virtually via Zoom during those sessions. So she was able to give us her feedback and her experience as well. So it was wonderful for her to join us by the pool, even though she wasn't physically there. She was able to join us and we were able to share our feedback with each other. So yeah, that is a glimpse for now of how things went during the Spring Forward Writers Retreat. You'll see the video content start dripping out between myself, Jessica Ewing at High Vibe Herbals. Follow her on Instagram there. If you're checking her on Facebook, I think she has a High Vibe Herbals page on Facebook as well. So you can look her up there. And Jessica Holly as well, the Everybody Can't Go brand. Like she kept it real. You know what I mean? Everybody can't go. She did a phenomenal workshop on Friday morning on the flight assessment. You guys hear us talking about the flight assessment on the show from time to time, whether that was with L. David Harris, Jessica when Jessica was on, even Guy Holly when he was on. So Jessica Holly did a great run through of the flight assessment. The attendees got the chance to take their assessment in real time during that workshop. The first 10 minutes, they took their assessment, they got their results, and then Jessica went into her workshop. She went into her presentation. And it was enlightening for everybody who took their assessment to learn more about themselves. It shone a light and provided so much clarity into the way that they tick and the way that the people around them operate. So they came away with greater emotional intelligence. And as an author and as an entrepreneur, as a person, period, having greater emotional intelligence is a whole cheat code, because you can enter into the room and read a person like that, based on what they say, based on how they carry themselves like that. And once you understand how they operate, you're able to approach them appropriately, speaking their language, so that it's much easier to establish rapport with them and provide value for them, and opens them up to provide value to you and give you what you want. So, yeah, absolutely amazing weekend, incredible 4 days. I'm super grateful to everybody who participated, everybody who helped promote the retreat on social media, all the podcasters who were generous enough to have myself and Jessica Holly on to talk about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Shout out to Caribbean Sunshine Bakery. Those guys were generous enough to donate 3 dozen patties, y'all. Genuine Jamaican beef patties. Everyone at the retreat loved them. So shout out to them for their sponsorship. Huge thank you to Miss Inez Osborne Wallace. You know who you are. I love you. You came through with some extra surprise supplies. Say that 5 times fast. That we were not expecting. Your generosity means the world to us. So we thank you as well. And to the unseen lady who was behind the scenes that helped me work on my website, all the stuff on the back end to make sure everybody got their emails, is the one and only Candace Johnson Mackey of Strong Futures Services. She helped us get the back end stuff prepared, and with the run of show, like she was instrumental in the coordination of the entire retreat. It was the three of us working together: myself, Jessica Holly, and Candace Johnson Mackey. The three of us together working things out and arranging things. So I want to shout out Candace as well. If you're looking for somebody that has decades of customer service experience, and you're somebody that maybe you have a product or a service, but you have no idea what your back end is supposed to look like. You want a newsletter, you want, an email sequence, you want a funnel, but you have no clue how to do it. Candace Johnson Mackey, like look up Strong Futures Services. That is her, and she will get you together. She will get you together. Okay. None of these people are paying anything for me to drop their names. I'm dropping their names because they do phenomenal work and they were instrumental in my success. So I want to make sure that you win as well. These are the people that can get you there. These are the people that can get you there, without a doubt. But in the meantime, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Normally my show averages about 30 to 40 minutes. So thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Thank you for all of your support. If you're sticking with me, continue to subscribe here at Getting the Win on YouTube. Follow me at Getting the Win Show on Instagram, Threads, and Pinterest. Again, that offer is coming, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, that does it for this week's episode. Shout out to the folks that were in the comments. Love y'all. Thank you for dropping your thoughts and your comments. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, tell your folks about the show as well if you think they'll find it helpful. Tell your folks about it. Share the link. Hit like under the video so that we get more of it. We get it out into the algorithm and more people can find it. Let's get this word out. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. But in the meantime and between time, thank you so much. I am Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully. Much love to you. Have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday and a great and productive rest of your week. See you next week. Peace.